Okay, so I've just been collecting some of my fun stuff that I've been watching from Ferguson. When I say fun stuff, I mean stuff that refutes the idea that, hey, it's just a couple of bad cops in Ferguson, and it's not a problem with the culture. By the way, stop saying that, okay? If you go on Facebook and Twitter and you're like, hey, you know, most of the cops are good, stop saying that. They're not. Their cops are cops, all right? They become cops not to help their community, but because they like being cops, okay? So that doesn't make them bad people necessarily, but there's a mentality of people who join the police force. They like it. They're not doing us a favor, okay? That's what my point is, all right? They dig it. They get off on it. If you've been watching Ferguson, you see who these guys are, okay? They've done studies about cops. There's two kinds of people drawn to the police force. Bullies, people who are bullies and always in trouble, and people who were bullied. Those are the two people that become cops. And I don't know if you know cops, but think about it for a second, and every one of the cops I've ever met were one of those guys.
I was pulled over on the way here.
And?
By a guy that was one of those juvenile, just a jerk in high school.
Yeah, that's who so they've done studies.
He said,
go ahead, Frank.
Since you're bringing it up, I actually was pulled over on the way over here.
And?
Well, he let me off with a warning.
What was the warning, Frank?
He said, don't see that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The guy who pulled me over, he was like, you know I pulled you over? And I said, because I was speeding, officer? No, because you suck.
He didn't say that.
Then he asked me to step out of the car and gave me a wedgie.
Wow.
That's the kind of brutality we're talking about.
This is what I'm talking about.
These guys from high school.
These guys from high school. So they've done studies about this. I'm not making this up. I'm not pulling this out of my backside. But they've studied and they found out that it's the people who are most affected by the rules. So the bullies affected by the rules and the people who were being bullied also needed the rules to protect them. So these are people who want to be in control of the rules. And this isn't me talking. These are smarty pants professors.
It's your family.
And yeah, I mean, I can give you anecdotal evidence for every cop I know. I've got at least, I don't know, scores of friends from my old neighborhood. In my old neighborhood in Chicago, there were three types of people. There were firemen, cops, and criminals. That's who lived in my neighborhood, right? And I was a criminal. And I bricklayed during the day. No, so this, I don't want to get too far off on this, but now we're going to go watch some of the, so here's a guy during some of the Ferguson protests. And by the way, it's their constitutional right to protest. You get to protest things, especially when you're upset and angry. So this thing about why you got to yell, because that's what we do in America. That's why we have the Constitution, because it's...
Jimmy,
yes.
Jimmy, if you'll remember when all those teabaggers were protesting, the cops just beat the crap out of them.
Oh, you remember down in Clive and Bundy's, how the cops just swarmed them and started arresting them left and right and shooting the tear gas at them? And they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything because those people showed up with guns. And I've said this before, Frank. I used to be totally against guns. And then when you look at stuff like this, it's like, oh, the only people here with guns are the cops. Maybe that's not a good thing. So I don't know how I feel about guns anymore, but I tell you this: I know we got to de-gun the cops. I'll tell you that. Go ahead, Frank.
I'm glad that the NRA has spoken out so forcefully about how the protesters in Ferguson need to arm themselves and protect themselves from an intrusive government.
Yeah, why don't those people show up with open carry? Why don't they do that? I would just love to see that happen. Where are those black guys with their rifles? Why doesn't the NRA show up and start handing out? Anyway, so here's a guy. It might be hard to hear. I'll put this. This is going to be posted as a YouTube video, right, on the Jimmy Dore Show channel over at the Young Turks. So check it out. But I'm going to play this video. You might be able to hear. So there's a cop coming right. So there's people protesting. And these guys are filming the cops with their cell phones like people do now. Cop sees this, doesn't care, and comes right at the guy with his rifle, assault weapon, pointed right at people, and says, "I will effing kill you." Right, let's see if we can listen. Here we go.
Oh my God, gun raised.
So the guy, so you can hear the guy with the camera, he goes, "Oh my God, the gun's raised. The gun's raised." Like the cop's not walking with his gun pointed at the ground. He's got it up and he's pointing it at people. There's a guy with a rifle on a city street in America pointing a gun at people as they walk by. Okay, that's what's happening. Okay, and watch what he yells.
Gun pointed. My hands are up, bro. My hands are up.
So he's coming right at this guy with a gun, and the guy's going, "My hands are up," and he's got his phone in his hand, and he goes, "My hands are up." This guy's coming right at him, right at his face. I'm not kidding. Okay.
Hands up. Guns raised and pointed. Raised and pointed at civilians.
And he's just kind of waving it around at people. He's just kind of going like this. He's just kind of wave. He's got it up, and he's not at one person. But everybody. Whoa. Okay, here we go.
I will fucking kill you. Get back.
And he comes right at the guy, and he goes, "I will fucking kill you." After they just killed 2 guys in the last couple of days who were unarmed, right? I will fucking kill. He says that.
Well, if they kill a 3rd guy, they get a sandwich.
I think we all get a free pizza. I think Pizza Hut is sponsoring that, right? It's for the Clippers or something. Anyway, so here, then they ask him what his name is.
Hands up. Get back. You're gonna kill him. He's trying to kill him. He's trying to...
He says to the cop, "You're gonna kill him?" And the other guy goes, "You just threatened to kill me? Are you gonna kill him?" They're asking this cop. And watch what the cops.
Get back. What's your name, sir?
Did you hear that? He goes, "What's your name, sir?" That's the cop. Cop says, "Go fuck yourself."
Now I saw this on TV, Jimmy, and I did. What if his actual last name was "Go fuck yourself"?
That's what
and
I was thinking.
And maybe that's why he has all this angst.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he's a cop. He was picked on his whole life. What is that? That kind of a last name?
Larry, go fuck yourself.
Oh, the poor kid.
That's worse than what Zappa did to his kids. That's really bad. So anyway, so that made it. All of a sudden, the guy, and by the way, he's being videotaped and he knows it. It's almost like these cops in Ferguson feel like there's not going to be any repercussions or something, and there's not going to be. So that guy,
It's just like those ISIL guys. They knew the cameras on when they cut that guy's head off.
They knew. So
they're just dumb.
So that guy, so the NAACP made a big deal out of that guy, and they sent a letter to the police department asking them to take that guy off the streets. And, the good thing about community programs like the police department is that it keeps these types of guys on the streets. Isn't that nice? Hey, put that guy on jaywalking patrol and see what happens, right? He's real. Now, obviously, that guy just joined the police force to help his community. Am I right?
Yeah.
Come on.
He definitely sounds like a peace officer.
What happens after that, after he says, "I'm officer, go F myself," another cop comes by, grabs the barrel of his gun, points it down, and walks the guy away.
Oh.
So I didn't see that.
That guy is officer material.
Yeah, so that guy's like, you can't hear what he's saying, but he grabs the barrel of his gun, and he points it down, and he walks the officer away from everybody.
Good.
And you're like, oh, well, there we go. Okay, but so maybe. Okay.
I heard that cop, when he was a kid, he was inspired to become a policeman when he watched the Kent State shooting.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's nice to see that Lenny and George from Of Mice and Men are still friends and working for and still working for the St. Louis County Police Department. Isn't that nice? Hey, by the way, if this cop doesn't have dead hookers buried in his backyard, then he's not properly taking advantage of the opportunities as a cop in St. Louis. That's all I'm saying. But, by the way, I wouldn't trust this guy to deliver a letter to the post office. So why would Missouri trust him to protect our neighbors, right? This guy's entrusted with protecting us. And, by the way, after seeing this go ahead.
There's the expression, go postal, should probably be changed to go St. Louis PD.
Yeah, that's what it should be changed to that. And, by the way, after seeing this genius with a gun, I think I'll take my chances with the criminals, okay?